Hello guys, welcome to the next session of developing e-commerce application from scratch using Angular and Spring Boot. In the last session we discussed on how we can create this checkout button and how we can check out the entire cart itself. So this was a very important functionality in any e-commerce application, and we have implemented that functionality successfully in the last session itself. So what we did is, let's suppose if I am logged in as a user, and let's suppose if I'm clicking on the cart, then over here as of now I don't have any product in my cart. That is the reason I'm not be able to see anything. But let's suppose if I'm just, first of all, let me just start the application. So that is the reason I was unable to get some data on my UI. So now let me just click on the cart button. So yes, we are able to get these three products inside a table. So this basically means that we have added this particular three products in my cart, right? So now we have added this checkout button. So whenever I will click on this checkout button, then I will be able to redirect to this billing section where I have to check the quantities and I have to check the total amount. Alongside I have to place the order. So we have to put this particular information, and whenever we will click on this place order button, then we should, like, order should get placed, right? So this is the functionality that we are able to implement successfully, and whenever I'm clicking on place order, then order will get placed successfully. One thing that we have left back is, let's suppose if I'm clicking on the place order, then order is placed successfully. Now whenever I will click on the cart button, then one thing that we left is we haven't deleted these particular items from my cart, right? Because whenever we will check out the cart, then these particular items should be removed from my cart. So this is the expected functionality. But as of now, even if the order is placed, but still we are able to see the products inside my cart, right? So let's see how we can remove these particular products from our cart, and it should be whenever we will check out the cart, and whenever we will come back to the cart, then cart should be empty, right? So again, it is really very simple. It doesn't it doesn't contain lot many changes. So what we want is, let me just click on the checkout button, and let me just click on this particular let's suppose, let me just put some dummy details over here, something like this. So as of now we don't have any validations, but in upcoming sessions we are going to add a validations as well. So now let me just click on place order. So let me just check the API that gets triggered. So place order is the API that basically gets triggered whenever we will click on the place order. So now what I have to do is, I have to go to the order detail controller, and over here we have API that is called as a place order. So this is the API that basically gets triggered whenever we clicks on the place order button. So this is the this button basically calls this particular API. Now let me just go to the service, and let me just go inside the place order method. Over here we have some lines which basically creates the object of order details, and it basically stores that details into a database. Now what we want is, we just want to we just want to add some lines over here so that we can empty the cart over here. So we can empty the cart over here. One more thing additionally we want is, we want one path variable over here. So we over here we want one path variable, so that we can check whether order is getting placed from cart, or like we are just trying to buy a single product, right? So this is also we need to verify, right? So let me just give one path variable, like is cart checkout, something like this, and let me just add at the rate path variable name is equals to is cart checkout, something like this, and let me just make it as a, let's suppose, boolean is single checkout. So not is single checkout, it's cart checkout. Let me just give, and let me just complete the bracket over here. Let me just give comma at the end. So now it is giving me the error. What is the error? Let me just check. So what it is saying, like, I think I have missed something. Okay, yes, so yes, I don't have to give the bracket, so let me remove that bracket, and now yes, it is working as expected. The next thing that I want is, let me just go to the place order method inside the order details service, and over here what I will just do is, I'll just basically first of all add one more parameter which is of type boolean, and let me just give it as a is cart checkout, something like this. And let me just add one if condition. If is cart checkout is equals to true, then I want to I just want to run some lines so that I can empty my cart, right? So previously we have created cart DAO, which basically manages all the cart related information. Let me just inject the cart DAO over here, something like this, cart DAO, and let me just try to auto wire it, something like this. Now let me just do one thing. Let me just try to make it as cart DAO dot find by user. So find by user basically method that we have previously created. This method, what it does is, it basically takes the user as a parameter. It basically takes user information as a parameter, and then it returns list of all the cart details which are added in this particular user's cart, right? So it is pretty straightforward. Okay, so let me just pass my user. So on line number 38 we are using the user to place the order. Same user we can use it over here, something like this. It will return me the list of cart, so let me just save it into a list of cart, something like this. And the next thing that we can just do is, we can just use cart DAO dot delete. So we can just use delete all, not a delete all, but we can just use delete all, where we have to pass the iterable, or else we can just use delete by ID, where we have to pass all the cart IDs that we want to delete. Okay, so let me just do one thing. Let me just make it as a stream. Okay, so cart, not a cart DAO, let me just make it as a carts dot stream dot for each, something like this. And we can just use for each over here, and we can just make it as a cart DAO dot delete, and we can just pass our X over here, something like this. And what I'm expecting is, after this for each, all my cart products should get deleted. So this is the thing that I'm expecting. So let's see whether it works or not. Let me just restart the application. And one more thing that we have to check is, first of all, let me just go back to the controller, and over here we have to pass this second parameter as well, something like this. And now let me just restart the application. Okay, one more thing that we want is, we just want, whatever parameter we have added is cart checkout, we want to pass the value from UI as well. So if I just go back to the VS Code, then let me just go to the, let me just go to the services. Let me just go to the product services, and yes, we have the function to place the order. Let me just add one more parameter, like is cart checkout, something like this. And what we want is, we just want to pass the value over here. So let me just make it as a is cart checkout. So I'm just using the concatenation over here with the help of plus sign, right? So now we should get some errors in the TypeScript file, because now this particular this particular function requires two different parameters, order details and is cart checkout. So we have to pass the two, second parameter from some places. So over here, let me just go to this by product.component.ts file, and on line number 4325. So if I just go to the byproduct.component.ts file and on line number 43, so yes, over here, like from over here we are calling the place order method, and right now we are just passing only one parameter, but we have to pass a second parameter as well, right? So how we can decide what is the value of second parameter, right? So to do this, what we can just do is we can just take help of our URL. So in our URL we are just passing one value or passing one variable, like is single product checkout is equals to false, right? And in some cases it will be a true. Okay, so what we can just do is we can just basically check what is the value of this path variable or URL path variable, and depending upon that we can just try to send the value inside this function itself. So how we can do this? So we can just use activated root over here. Then what we can just do is we can just try to make as like this dot activated root dot let's suppose snapshot. Then we can just maybe use param map, something like this, and then we have to pass the name of the parameter that we want to fetch. So I just want to fetch like param is single product checkout. So let me pass it, and what it is saying is like it is giving me some error, but we can just check that out what it is saying. So let me just give the semi-comma at the end, and let me just do one thing. Let me just store it inside some variable like this dot is single product checkout is equals to something like this, and we haven't created this variable. So let me just do one thing. Let me just try to make it as a boolean, and let me just initialize it with the false. And yes, now over here we are just getting one issue. Let's see what the issue is. So it is saying like this expression is not callable, and what it is saying is like param map has no call arguments. Okay, so it is basically saying like param map. So let me just try to do one thing. I think yes, so what I have done is I have missed the get operation over here. So now we are just done with the get operation. Like we have to use a get operation and we have to pass like whatever the parameter that we want to fetch. Now the next thing that we are getting is we are just getting one error over here. So it is saying like string is not assignable to the type boolean. So let me just make it as a string itself instead of the boolean. Now again what it is saying is okay, let me just initialize with the empty string, something like this. And now whatever value I will receive inside this dot is single product checkout, that value I will pass it as a second parameter to my place order function, something like this. Now one thing that I just want to verify, like whether I'm able to pass the right value or not. So we just have to verify it, right? So what we can just do is we can just go to the Chrome browser itself, and let me just come back to the home page. Let me just go to the cart and let me just open the developers tool. Let's see what happens. Let me just click on checkout button. So right now yes, so let me just paste some, or maybe let me just put some details over here, and let me just try to click on place order. So right now what we are doing is we are just checking out the entire cart. So in our case is a single product checkout value is a false, and we are expecting that whenever we will click on the place order button, then false value should be like false value should go to the back end, right? Let me click on place order. Let's see what happens. So yes, the value false is going at the back end, and let me just click on the cart again. Let's see, but still we are able to get some information in our cart. Let me just try to refresh it. Yes, we are still getting some information in our cart. Okay, so I think we are missing something from the backend. We can just take a look, but before that let me just try to see whether if I'm just trying to buy a single product, then in that case what is the value that it is going at the backend. So let me just try to put some values over here. So right now I'm just trying to buy a single product directly without a card. So let me just click on place order. So yes, in that case the value true is going to the backend. So yes, see, like these from a UI perspective we are getting like true false value as expected. Now we are not getting expected output from our backend. So let's see what is missing over here. So if I just go to the order details, then we are currently checking is cart checkout, and if that is true, then we are just doing some carts. Okay, so we are just making it as a cart dao dot delete. So instead of delete, I think we should use delete by id, something like this, and then we have to pass x dot get cart id, something like this. And now let me just save these changes, and now let me just restart the application, and this time let's see what happens exactly, whether are we able to get the expected output or not. So let me just come back to the Google Chrome, and let me just come back to the home page. Right now let me just try to buy a single product. So let's suppose Penting combo 1, and let me just try to click on a buy now button. Let me just put some details over here, and let me just change quantity to the 3, and let me click on place order. Yes, order is placed successfully. Now let me just go back to the cart. So as of now we are not able to see anything inside a cart. Let me just do one thing. Let me just go to the home page. Let me just try to add some products in my cart, something like this. And now let me just come back to the cart. Yes, this time let me just click on checkout, and let me just do one thing. Let me just click on the place order, and let me just now click on OK. So now over here we are still not getting expected output. I think we have done one small mistake. What we have done is we have used, like we have missed the not operator over here. So whenever is cart checkout, or I think okay, so is cart checkout, I think we are missing something from UI also. So if I just come back, and if I just go to the like buy product component ts, then what we are just doing is single product checkout, and over here we are just passing it as is single product checkout. So I think what we can just do is we can just take similar parameter at the backend as well. We can just make it as a is single product checkout. It will be easy for us. So let me just make it as a is single product checkout, something like this, is single product checkout everywhere. Let me just replace it, and let me just make is single product checkout over here. And then over here what we want is, if we are not like checking out a single product, so we have to pass a not operator over here, and then we have to save these changes. Now let me just restart the application. I hope you got the idea like what we are trying to achieve over here. So basically what I am trying to achieve is, if we are just like if we are just checking out a single product, then in that case, like I don't want to execute these lines. But if we are not checking out a single product, it means basically we are just trying to check out the cart, then in that case I just want to execute these particular lines. Now I think if I just come back to the home page, let me refresh it. Let me just go back to the cart, and before cart let me just go back to the home, and let me just click on one product, and let me just click on buy now. Let me just put some details over here, something like this. Let me just try to change the quantity. Let me click on place order. So order got placed. Let me click on cart. So we have cart information as it is. Now let me check out on a cart, and let me just try to put some numbers, and this time what I'm expecting is my cart should get empty. Let me click on place order, and yes, now if I'm clicking on the cart, then it is getting empty, right? And also on the home page we can just add any new item into a cart, and if I just come back to the cart, then it is like showing the one item in my cart. So like we are able to get the output successfully, like whatever we are expecting. So I hope you got an idea around this, like how we can empty the cart once our cart is getting checked out. And I just tried to make it as simple as possible, and I just tried to explain every single step that is involved. I know it took some time in between, but I think this is important to understand how to resolve errors as well, right? So if you are agree with me, let me know into a comment section. And I hope you enjoyed this session, and I'll see you in the next session.